I'm not here to teach you what to think. I'm here to teach you how to think. Hello and welcome to day 3 of the Frank B. Kermit Frank Inner Game Seminar. Today we're going to start off with different categories of women. For those of you at home, please turn to page 209. Page 209, folks. The different categories of women. Now here's the value about this particular writing exercise. Something that women do to men is that women will categorize men. See, love is not blind. It's just that categories are rigid. When you as a man get into the right category of her brain as to how she categorizes you as a man, that is going to dictate a lot about how she sees and interprets everything you do. If she categorizes you as a low-value male, then even when you do something of high value, she'll filter it through the eyes of a low-value male. If you are categorized as a high-value male in her brain, then when you do something really pathetic, she finds a way to justify it so that in her eyes you still stay the high-value male. It all depends on those first few initial interactions. So what I teach men to do is to use the same method that women use. The idea is that I'm going to train you what categories of women can and possibly could exist in your life. The second value to this is that one of the obstacles that some men face is that they don't have these categories of women, so it doesn't really help them in terms of having standards. They'll look at every single woman and they'll either see every woman as only a sexual conquest, or they're only looking for that one special woman they're going to marry, and they're not even willing to date and engage and have relationships with women, maybe for different types of relationships. So right now I just gave you a lot of theory, probably is meaningless, especially if you haven't been exposed to my work before. So we're going to start off right now with the idea that there are multiple categories of women. If you come up with a category that is not going to be what I present, good. You're supposed to have your own categories. I'm going to give you my list of categories so you can see it as an example. All right, now the first category of women. I'm going to call this the untouchable or the unfuckable. Second category of women is the off-limits woman. Third category is one-night stand girl. Next category of woman is the fuck buddy. After fuck buddy, non-exclusive girlfriend. Next one up, we can call this one your harem queen, primary, and finally, the wife. All right, that gives us 7 categories. Now, these are the categories I use. If you have a category for yourself that's not on this list, save it for the questions at the end of this particular section, and we're going to go into that. Most men really divide up women into 2 categories: fuckable and unfuckable. And for most guys, most women are generally in the fuckable category. So if she's a female friend, you'd still see her as fuckable. Because you're a man. It's your job. A woman, on the other hand, when she sees you as a friend, she'd categorize you as a non-sexual being. And because guys always have that option, the possibility of, I could potentially have sex with my female friend, he might stick around and he might try to befriend her and try to use that friendship to get sex from her unsuccessfully. That isn't good for the girl, because even though she's still getting free stuff, she knows that the only reason he's sticking around is because he's hopefully wanting to get sex with her. And it's really not good for the guy, because he's being taken advantage of, because his emotional need for femininity is being addressed because he feels appreciated in that process, even if he's not getting the sex. Does everybody get that so far? All right, so the thing I'm going to ask you to do now, we're going to turn to page 215. Yes, list number 32. List your top 10 criteria for an unfuckable girl. Now, this is going to vary from guy to guy. The unfuckable girl means that even if you had the opportunity to have sex with this woman, you would not. What's the criteria? What are your absolute deal breakers? One of the traps that men will fall into is that they may be willing to have sex with a woman And because he's had sex with her, he thinks, well, if I'm willing to have sex with her, I should be willing to have a real relationship with her. Not so. Just because you have sex with her doesn't mean that she's relationship material. The same way that just because you might have money and you might be a good provider doesn't necessarily mean that she should expect you to become boyfriend material. Once you know your boundaries, once you know your criteria, once you know what your deal breakers are, the minute you're interacting with a woman, and I know that some of you were asking, what do you talk about? Well, if you know what your criteria are, you know to ask questions based on your criteria, so you can be busy categorizing this woman when you meet her. It's not about being an entertainment monkey. You are not there to entertain her. You are there to find out what role she can play in your life. If she turns out to be a really amazing woman, you want to be able to find that out within, let's say, the first couple of hours of talking to her. You want to know what her potential is in your life. If all you're doing is trying to entertain her, then you're not connecting with her. And if she sees you as entertainment monkey, then you better hope that you're going to get lucky that she kind of likes the way you look and you're making her laugh, and that's all it takes for her. If you're spending time in your own head, golly, what story should I tell her next? It means you're still trying to figure out where in her world you belong, as opposed to figuring out what role she could play in your life. Once you know which category she would fall into because you have your criteria, the conversation goes a lot faster and a lot smoother. You don't need to wait 6 months before finally feeling comfortable enough to engage in sex. And she's going to feel a lot more comfortable with you because she'll know where you stand. Now, when it comes to the type of woman that's unfuckable in my life, if I run into a woman who's doing drugs, for me, that's unfuckable. I simply won't have sex with her, no matter how beautiful she is. If she does drugs, boom, I'm gone. I'm out. It ain't going to work. She can't have this. That's for me personally. For some of you, you may not have that criteria. I can't tell you what criteria to have. I can't tell you what to think. I'm trying to teach you how to think. Give me your boundaries. Give me your deal breakers.